We are live. What up, Dennis?
Not much, Sneed.
March 23rd, 2022. We got the dentist in the house, Mr. Dennis 4.0, for those of you that don't know. And we got the moose. He's lurking around somewhere. We'll see if we can get him back. Let's say hello to some people as they're coming into the show. And there we go. My playback is good. Okay. We got Jason D. We got Pete B. And we got Mark. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Thanks for coming through tonight. We might see the Bearded Dragon actually make it onto the panel.
I think it would be great if he was on for this topic that I'm discussing, because I'd love to hear what municipal ends up being like with what we're about to talk about.
All right. He'll chime in. I think he's doing the dinner thing. And once he wraps that up, he'll probably be in the show. Let's go ahead and get the thing started here, Dennis. We'll actually, we started the conversation backstage, but I find it interesting. Dennis is actually possibly pushing some new buttons on a residential fiber service, but he might push it to its limits to the point where he may be notified. Tell him what's going on, Dennis. Tell him what you're doing, and then we'll kind of talk through it.
All right. So as everybody knows, I'm a big proponent of like all things internet. And I recently bought some Western Digital 16 terabyte drives, for them specifically from Western Digital, because they did an awesome sale for my NAS. So I'm looking at this as an opportunity to test out how unlimited Verizon Fios is no data cap unlimited internet actually is. So I'm going to test this with Verizon, and I'm going to do the same thing with Comcast as well. But basically what I've been doing is I've been working on filling up these fresh drives and just downloading lots and lots of stuff off the internet. I'm currently like I'm pushing almost close to 4 terabytes of data so far used, which is well above what I would normally use, because I want to find out what the definition of excessive usage is for Verizon, and find out where they actually have a soft cap, if any. Many of you that follow me on Twitter might also see I posted on Twitter trying to get information for what everybody else says, is because we really don't know what it is. The last time someone got kicked off for something like this was like way back in like 2015, 2014. So it's been years ago.
And that's interesting because usage now is higher than ever. There's no way that people were using more in 2015 than 2022. So I think you're going to be surprised how much they tolerate. And I think you're going to be surprised how much they'll not say anything about. So if you end up using, I don't know, man, like 20 terabytes, my expectation is that they probably won't mention it. However, if somehow, some way you get flagged, the first thing they do is they're going to send you an email. And it's going to be a friendly, like it'll be very PC, it'll be very formal, and it'll be a friendly nudge. And then I think you could probably get away with a second month like that consecutively. I think at 3 months of whatever they consider to be abuse, you get claps from Moose.
I apologize. I just got back.
Yeah, I think I don't expect you to get an email, but if it does happen, you've probably got like 3 strikes, you're out kind of deal. You know?
Yeah, I don't plan to make this a repeat event. However, and as we were talking about this before, I think you were saying that 10 terabytes was what was assumed based off some conversations you've had. And I was telling you behind the scenes that if it is 10 terabytes, I'll be kind of disappointed. And not because I don't think 10 terabytes is a very reasonable amount of data, but I'd be disappointed by the fact that they're offering gigabit symmetrical fiber, and they're on the cusp of offering 2 gigabit now, and they're talking about offering faster. And when you think about it from that scope of things, 10 terabytes on a 2 gig connection is absolutely nothing. The person that's buying that 2 gig connection is most definitely someone that's going to be they're going to take data hoarding to the next level. Like what I'm doing as an experiment is what they're doing on a month by month basis. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And I think that's why I think your thought process is correct. If you're going to have a multi-gig connection, I think once these ISPs offer multi-gig fiber, I think the expectation is they're not monitoring any type of data cap. I just don't see it.
So
how are you going to give somebody 5 gig speed and then monitor their usage?
Hold up. Remember, let's go back in time. when broadband first started, right? It went from 500 to a 1 Mbps, right? 1 Mbps, 2 Mbps, 5, 10, then 25, right?
I remember.
There was still data caps.
They weren't hard data caps. They were like soft, and honestly, speed was your biggest factor in making sure that you didn't hit them.
Right, but my point is that I feel like we're repeating history. That's how I've mentioned this since day one of this increase in fiber speed, where the days of VDSL, where it's 1, 2, 5, 10, 25 are going to repeat itself. We're going to go 1, 2, 5, 10 gig, 25 gig, 50 gig, 100 gig. You know what I'm saying? Now, clearly, right, the insane amount of speed at 100 gig is right now not currently necessary for a regular consumer. But once Wi-Fi 6E becomes more mainstream, not only on the iPhone, but in terms of the router technology, right? I'm telling you, don't be surprised. They're going to have applications that are going to require a minimum of 100 upload speed, like this VR stuff that's coming out,
So there's some comments coming in, and I want to hear what.
Can we do the super chat first?
Absolutely.
Big shout out to Santiago, my dude. Good to have you, man. Thanks for coming through tonight. We got the pear character flying in the air with the red cape and a smile on his face. Santiago, I know that's you flying with the cape with the smile on his face. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And we're glad to have you tonight. And for those of you just coming in, please do hit the like button. And if it's your first time here and you recommended this, subscribe and turn on the bell notifications. Every time we go live, you'll be the first to know. All right. So, yeah, we already got some comments on this.
Yeah, so I wanna start with Chime because I want to hear what you have to say on this. I'd be curious to hear what you have to say. So Chime chimed in and said, if you want 10 terabytes plus, you should get a business plan. Period. That was at 1957.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know, man. The way I feel about it is, at this point, no limit, unlimited means unlimited. So, the only thing that really sets apart the business customer from the residential customer is going to be the suite of business amenities that come with this, right?
So static IP addresses,
static IP, guaranteed, instant response when services go down. When they come out and repair cut fiber, and they come out and fix hardware, and they, same day repairs and replacements of gear, for like routers or gateways or whatever.
I like that.
Yes, and going into a store and jumping ahead of the line. The priority. Those are the things that come with business accounts. And that really should be the only thing that separates the service. The fiber itself, it's all the same.
Literally is the same.
Huh?
It's literally the same.
I know. And that's my point, is if the service is the same, the performance is the same, the only differentiator should be everything else. All the things that come with the territory of having a business account.
Well, hold up. There is one thing that business lines could have.
We need a clap for Juan. We need a clap for Juan.
We could also say this, right? Just like on wireless business lines, there are different QCIs applied to the wireless, but from a fiber perspective, that's what I was getting to, is that there could be a latency decrease because you have a dedicated connection compared to a GPON shared connection.
But Moose, that's the thing I'm trying to get at here real quick. I'm not talking about enterprise. We're talking about small to medium-sized businesses. Small to medium-sized businesses are sharing the same GPON as the consumer residential customer on Fios. That's how Verizon does it. In the same way Comcast hooks up a business customer to the same node as a consumer customer if there's a house nearby. It's the same stuff. The only difference between the business customer and the consumer customer in these circumstances is that there's a service level agreement about uptime and guaranteed performance, which is why you'll typically actually see business plans will actually usually offer slower speeds because they're guaranteeing those speeds. before, and the faster speeds tend to go to consumer side first. But that's like the only difference. But look, I see comments coming in about what people will use. I'm going to pose a question, and my question to people is this: why do you want data caps, and why do you feel like data caps are fair for wired home ISP connections?
People are asking for data caps? I'm complete.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think people are asking for data caps. I think that they're used to the expectation is that once you get into the 5, 10, 15, 20 tera range, you're looking at a business account. I personally believe it doesn't matter. Whatever what if you're in the video industry? What if you record video for customers? Like, say, for example, you work for a corporation and you literally upload video to the cloud. They operate their own servers in their own cloud, and it's all 4K res video. Dude, you're going to be sending teras a day.
See, my whole thing is, and I don't know if people realize this, is that there's no reason an ISP should have a data cap of any kind, because they are selling you a bit rate. They are saying, Mr. Sneed, we can sell you 1,000 megabits per second. There should not be this double dipping of you can only use 1,000 megabits per second up till this much in a given time frame. It's, if you want to go full blast 24/7, just saturating that 1,000 meg, that's what you paid for, especially when they say there's no data cap.
Yeah, man.
Like, that's my shtick. And
I think what it boils down to, Dennis, is if you're paying for, that verbiage, you should get it. If not, they're being disingenuous. It's stealing.
And I just also want to say, like, I don't know if people realize this, but like the cost of a gigabyte of data for an ISP is literally less than it's less than a gallon of water. It's like 1/1000th, like 1/10,000th of a penny. That's how small it is. It's very nominal. And the only exception to the rule where I can understand why a data cap might exist is for like really tiny. I'm talking like 2,000 subscriber tiny, like ISP in the middle of nowhere. And the only reason why I can see them having a data cap is because they're paying someone else to hook up to like the main backbone of fiber, and they're paying those exchanges for like a Comcast or someone. But if it's a tier 1 ISP, so Verizon and AT&T, I know Comcast doesn't technically categorize as a tier 1, but they have a lot of their own fiber as well. Those guys aren't paying anything when there's traffic going over their stuff. Like, it's so tiny. But let's see.
Interesting.
Torrenting all day, they need some network management. The network management is the speed tier. That's all the network management you need. If you know that you're going to be selling to a neighborhood of 500 people and you plan to offer 1 gigabit service, then you better have.
You know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
This is like when one soldier makes a mistake and then the whole platoon has to run 5 miles. If it's one person destroying the network or whatever, right, using 7,000 terabytes a month, that's like instituting a hard cap because of that one person.
Yeah,
Instead
but
of
here's
addressing the one person, you punish the whole consumer base.
But here's the thing. That one person shouldn't be able to destroy the network. The fiber bandwidth is essentially infinite. It's the provider's job.
I get it. I'm with you. We're on the same page. I'm just saying, in the example that somebody says one person or whatever, why would they want to just all of a sudden think everybody's there to quote unquote abuse the network when it's not the case?
Yeah, like I'm just saying, it's an ISP's job to provide the service. If they sell you a service at X speed, then it's their job to ensure that they can provide that service to those people. It doesn't matter how much data they use. It's not like, literally, if someone uses zero data, it still costs the ISP the same amount of money basically to maintain that network, because they're still paying the same for the electric. They're still paying like the same for everything else. The upfront costs.
Actually, the way it works, and this is how I look at it, is every customer on the network reduces the cost of operating the network. That's the way I look at it.
Yep. Darian chimed in. He said, if too much usage affects the ISP where they need to raise prices, then he'd rather have like 5 terabytes or 10 terabyte data caps versus them overall raising prices for everyone because some people are using too much. What are your thoughts on that, Sneed?
One second, Dennis. We got Pete.
Okay, cool.
The bearded dragon is in the house.
Perfect, Pete. What's up,
Yeah.
brother?
Yes.
Ahoy.
Ahoy. Oh, oh, yes. Oh, man. Hey, by the way, I wanted to ask you this. The Wi-Fi 6E routers that are coming out and the modems that are coming out. Oh, man. God. I'm telling you right now, the next generation 10 gig network for AT&T, whoop, spicy, man. It's better than a habanero. It's better than a ghost pepper.
Moose,
you know what I'm saying?
Before we go down that rabbit hole, I don't want to get, because I have some hot takes to say about Wi-Fi 6E, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole just yet.
God, what happened? What happened now?
But we'll hold that thought. So Sneed, did you hear the question I asked you as far as what Darian had to say? If too much usage affects the ISP where they need to raise prices, then he'd rather have like 5 or 10 terabyte data cap versus them overall raising prices for everyone because some people are using.
But that's the thing. Like, it doesn't cost them more if people use more. It's the network has a cost to operate, and whether it's 1,000 on the network or it's 200 on the network, the cost is the same. It's just their profits increase the more people are on it. So the usage is infinitesimal. I mean, on a customer to customer basis.
So Sneed, the way to explain it is for everybody in the audience is it's rather simple. ISPs have a large but finite, large as in hundred of terabyte or tens of terabyte or even terabyte level final trunk to their main internet connection. It doesn't matter how much data a person uses, as long as all their customers do not hit the maximum threshold
at the same time.
Yeah. So as long as the maximum threshold going into the layer 3 or what have you, the backbone internet network with peering agreements, etc. As long as you do not saturate that threshold, the amount of data is meaningless. They will encounter extra costs if what they're sending onto the backbone network through other ISPs exceed a service level agreement they have with their connection. But as long as they manage it so they're not slamming their hour-to-hour threshold, it doesn't matter how much data a person uses.
All right, gents, we got to get this show back on track. All right, we got to discuss this topic. This one actually dropped yesterday. All right, so Spectrum Auction 108.
Yep.
Is it 108?
I think it's 108.
Okay, I think it's 108.
Yep, 108.
2.5 gigahertz. This is T-Mobile's N41.
Yep.
It's not a lot of Spectrum licenses.
Nope.
It's important gap coverage for N41. It's white spaces in these little areas between major markets that will just sure up that T-Mobile has a deep channel, contiguously throughout the country.
This is stuff that was not covered by churches or educational institutes during the Cold War.
This is crazy, Pete. Who would have thought that after all these years, the FCC still never took care of this? And now I actually think they're trying to compensate for the snafu, man.
This is them attempting to compensate by, if I remember correctly, it's been officially said they get right of first refusal in different words.
I think it's like 8,000 licenses in total, Pete.
Yep, and they can put in a price ahead of others, and if it hits the threshold, they get it, and if not, it goes into open bidding. Is that how it was?
Yes, the format is not the traditional, like typical auction bidding that we saw with the last couple of auctions dating back to mmWave, CBRS, and then 110 or whatever it was,
Yep.
whatever the 3.7 was, and the 3.45 was the same. What do they call it? Clock auction. Yeah, clock auctions. And
yeah, they basically can declare how much they want to pay before a certain time, and if they hit the threshold for that, because all Spectrum licenses have thresholds when it comes to these biddings. They hit the threshold or exceed it, they get it. Otherwise, it goes to phase 2, where everybody else can pick at it.
So here's my take, gentlemen, and you guys can comment on this. This is another 5G stimulus for T-Mobile. Things working out really nicely for them. Not only do they get the auction format they wanted, but they also get to withhold trade secrets and the lease informations, or the lease information from all the entities that lease to T-Mobile. So Verizon and AT&T are kind of left in the dark on that information. That's probably going to impact their decision whether or not they want to even bid in this auction. So T-Mobile likely, because they know the value of the licenses, they'll just go ahead and match that in the form of the auction and then probably get it all. And then their network can be contiguous. Their network, in my opinion, will be very complete. But without it, it would be in the hands of someone that it doesn't make sense. So there's two things that I want to mention. Number one, I am glad that this increases the likelihood of T-Mobile getting all of it. And the second thing is, for anybody who is expecting this to be fair, it's not. But it's better. It's better than fair, and I'm going to tell you why. If T-Mobile doesn't get all this, somebody else has it, which we don't want. We want T-Mobile to have all of it contiguous.
Not only is this the format that T-Mobile prefers, it is the format the FCC and the general fund do prefer too. Simply because the 2.5 gigahertz spectrum was so fragmented. When it was initially said, yes, the licenses can be used for cell phone networks. So they want to condense it, and hey, if T-Mobile feels like it, they can swap some 2.5 for some 3.5 down the road if that would bolster the network some.
So here's my thoughts on it, Sneed. I want T-Mobile to get it for the same reasons that you want them to get the spectrum. That being said, I'm not really happy with how we got here, if that makes sense. Like, I am of the opinion that the precedent is being set here about how the other carriers aren't allowed to basically see the hand that's on the table to make informed decisions is not necessarily the best precedent to be setting here. And I would also go so far to argue as well that although I believe T-Mobile needs a good little, as you put it, 5G stimulus check, I feel like all the carriers could use some 5G stimulus check loving. And so I don't want to see too much favoritism go to T-Mobile, and I don't necessarily feel like the behavior that T-Mobile demonstrated to how we got here with how they were whipping out the lawyers for these colleges and stuff like that and everything else that happened around this should be applaud, if that makes sense.
Look, I said it when I made the video. It's not fair, but it is going to clean up the FCC's mess. Moose,
So-
go ahead and jump in.
Wait.
Quick.
Hold up. Go ahead, Pete, because I have very strong opinions about this because nothing's getting fixed. That's the problem.
No, but Dennis, there is a chance that they may be redoing some of the 700 megahertz, the lower band ranges in the future, and they may be picking certain carriers. They'd be preferring to use certain spectrum in that range, where they too get the same option that would actually make some of the lower frequencies usable.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about that, but what I will say, and this is unpopular, but I feel like if T-Mobile gets all the favoritism to get this 2.5 gigahertz, I feel like T-Mobile should also be forced to give up their C-band licenses they picked up.
Damn.
I'm just saying. I mean, if we're talking about contingency and what makes sense,
Bro, they paid the most megahertz pop for that C-band.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm just saying, give T-Mobile 2.5 to work with, but then give that little bit of C-band to someone else. Give it to AT&T.
Yeah, but it's not T-Mobile's fault that it's messed up like this. I mean, I know they inherited it and they made those decisions that, they have to deal with the issues, what comes with the territory. But the FCC should have solved this problem a long time ago.
The FCC should have solved it in the 90s.
Hey, Pete, let's talk about this. The FCC dropped the ball on 600.
Oh, hell yeah.
They dropped the ball on 700.
That's, can I say the F word?
Yeah, they dropped the ball on AWS.
Yeah.
They dropped the ball on Dish.
Yeah.
They dropped the ball on Verizon with the unlocking phones and the band 13,
Yep.
remember?
Now, granted, the bull drop on 700 is still one of the worst things they've done.
I'm still going.
Yeah, I know.
They dropped the ball on CBRS with the power.
Oh, yeah.
They dropped the ball with C-band and aviation.
Oh, yeah.
They dropped the ball with millimeter wave, auctioning it before mid-band. Should I keep going?
I think you're beating a bottle of glue at the moment.
Dude, we've been through this. Like they dropped. I mean, look, man. This is why I say Ajit Pai is the worst ever, because a lot of that stuff was under him.
Mid-band should have been auctioned off and figured out and went into clearance before millimeter wave came out. So the carriers would have had the ability to, get an expansive network with good coverage and then bid on the open millimeter wave to fortify their locations where they're experiencing congestion with their low band and mid band.
But again, so this is the thing, though. The FCC is the governing body, okay?
Yep.
They could fix this and retroactively go back and force the carriers to have contiguous channels instead of having all these piecemeal spectrum. You guys realize that, right?
Moose.
Like
I said, that's in progress. We'll see that before 2025.
Right.
So yeah, they're working on it.
Yeah. So my point is that this auction situation and the fact that the T-Mobile was withholding information of which licenses they leased, damn, dude. Because there's nothing that is not of public record when you have a publicly traded company, especially when it costs you money to do whatever you're doing. Keep that in mind.
It's listed in OpEx as a line.
Exactly. They tell you exactly what they're spending money on and how they're spending money on and when they're spending money on. So if they're telling you straight up that they don't want to tell you, that's SEC could get involved. Okay, number one. That's not good. It doesn't set a good precedent. Okay?
I said that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm agreeing with Dennis here. It does not set a good precedent. This is messed up.
True. It's true.
Oh God, is the planet about to end? Me and Moose are agreeing.
Dennis,
No,
you're right. I mean, it's a bad precedent, and then, I mean, it's not fair. It's in my estimation, it's the right call, but it's not the fair call. The fair call would be to let Verizon and AT&T know what those leases cost. And it would be just the same bidding process for the last 7 auctions. But they feel like they owe T-Mobile a favor, I guess. I don't know. I have no clue.
Hey,
Nobody
Sneed,
owes anybody anything, but I'm just
hypothetically speaking, Sneed, you're the head of the FCC, okay? And you get to arrange how spectrum is allocated amongst the carriers. What frequencies would you give to whom, and in like what chunks? Like who gets what if you had your way?
me personally, some of these frequencies, like say for example the mid-band, I think that every other auction should have a very even distribution of mid-band waves. And there should be a certain amount of per megahertz pop value assigned to it, and you just divvy it up evenly. And if a carrier doesn't want it and they pass, that amount goes to auction. Like say for example, there's like 100 megahertz of, let's just say there's 8 gigahertz coming up to be auctioned, and there's 200 megahertz of it. We got 4 carriers. Each carrier can have up to 50 megahertz of it. If they don't want to pay for it,
let's go with 12 gigahertz.
Okay, fine, because that's real.
Yeah.
Because 12 gigahertz is actually going to happen. Let's say there's there's way more than, there's like how much is it, Pete?
I think it was like 600 or 850.
Okay, let's say that there's 500 megahertz. We got, let's say there's 400 megahertz. There's 4 carriers. Each carrier can pay a certain megahertz pop price for 100 megahertz. If they want the whole thing, they can have the whole thing and pay the price. If they don't want the full 100, they can buy as much as they want up to 100. Let's say they're willing to pay up for up to 80. That remaining 20 goes into a separate auction. Well, and then the others have the same option. I think there should be auctions like that.
It would be an amended auction.
Yeah. And then seriously, and if a carrier doesn't want it, it goes up into a second auction. And if the carrier does want it, they can maximize the purchase. And I'm not saying all auctions should be set up that way. I'm saying that ensures that every carrier can create capacity and we don't have a dead duck in the market.
The main idea is to make it so all networks do not or an equal plane when it comes to capacity and coverage, to allow for fair competition.
Guess which auction was the best and most successful one so far?
C-band.
Which one?
Oh, the initial
A block.
Yeah.
No. It was 3.4. That was the best auction.
Huh.
Each carrier could have up to 40 megahertz of the 100 available in a PEA.
Well, Sneed, think about the poor tax dollars that you'll be missing out on if you don't let them bid to the highest possible bid.
You have auctions like that. Have auctions like that.
That's actually changing. I'm not going to get into details, but that's changing.
We literally watched carriers get spectrum starved because of other carriers that were either not deploying or dying. Think about it.
So the maximizing the general fund is going to be an antiquated modus operandi for the spectrum. You'll most likely find, like, say, auction 150A, where the proceeds will be jacking up the general fund. But on 150, everybody gets a fair shot.
All right, Pete, we got a super chat.
Yep. Thank you. And more. I'm not even going to try that last name. Kadena. T-Mobile needs to use its money on owning its own fiber. This is true. But mind you, this 2.5 auction, the money comes from a different source. And in theory, the price will be low enough to incentivize them in multiple locations to deploy fiber there, rather than, leaving some random ones dangling because, well, if you're only expecting enough to saturate a 1 gig line on Christmas Eve and no other time, why bother? investing in that one.
I mean, I think it's more important to say that T-Mobile can deploy fiber at any time, but they can't get They can't get spectrum at any time, and not 2.5.
Hey, big shout out to Anwar. Thank you, man.
And yeah, carriers do see it that way. We can do operations at any time, but finite frequency expenditure is once, maybe twice if we're really freaking lucky.
Okay, so can we all get on the same page, or do we have differing opinions? T-Mobile has received its second 5G stimulus.
I'd say it's its third.
Third.
Yeah, because they got the stimulus from the failed AT&T merger.
Yeah, that wasn't 5G.
Yeah, but that's not a 5G merger.
Okay, sorry.
We're talking about the 5G.
Fine. I'm sorry. All right, if we're talking about just strictly focused on 5G, they got the stimulus from the Sprint acquisition.
Yep.
They got the stimulus in the form of the government funds when everybody was, with everything that's going on with the different government broadband funds and connectivity programs. And then their third stimulus is this.
Well, yeah, but the second thing you mentioned, like every operator can have that.
You forgot one thing.
What's that?
Since they were the only carrier that was able to deploy 600 megahertz at the time, because Dish was so, backwards thinking and they never deployed a thing. They just took the entire 600 megahertz band during the pandemic.
Moose. 600 megahertz is going to work great for Dish TV.
It is what it is, right?
Okay, so hold on a second. Here's what Moose is talking about. All right, there was a several-month period where T-Mobile was using a lot of 600 megahertz to supplement their network from other entities. So they didn't own the spectrum, but they were allowed to use it for free. Dish was one of the companies. Columbia Capital was another. I think there was some unused FCC 600 megahertz, so it wasn't assigned. Yeah. So they used it, and then they didn't want to pay for it after a certain amount of time. So
I'm actually surprised for not having an election for that unused 600.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't forget the balls that T-Mobile had trying to ask for that unused spectrum for free.
Well, why don't they just split it between Dish and T-Mobile at a certain price?
That would work. Now, mind you, if you think about it from a cost of business perspective, it doesn't cost them any money to ask any additional money to ask the FCC, hey, can we continue using this for free? So when asking to use the spectrum without paying for it, the worst that could happen is they're told, no, you have to pay for it. The best that could happen is they're told, yeah, you can continue not paying for it, and then you have free spectrum, essentially.
Hey, Sneed, I have a question for you, by the way, my man. Mm-hmm. How large of a portfolio of low band frequency do you think each carrier should have in their portfolio? Like 20 megahertz chunk? Like how much do you think it should be?
Low band?
Yeah.
Ideally, I would say at least 2 channels of... Oh, man.
2 channels of 15.
I was going to say at least 2 channels of 15, but I kind of like 20 by 20. So
20 by 20 is nice, but you really need to clean that up before you can do that.
Yeah, that's the point. It's so take for example the 700 megahertz. That is a mess.
Oh god.
And the 850 is not that much better. The 800, it ain't that great. And what about the 5 megahertz just sitting there doing nothing? The 800 from Sprint just doing nothing across the country. 3 megahertz of guard band.
Yeah, that's
yeah. I look, best case scenario, 2 channels of 15 by 15 on the low band, and then gung ho on the mid band and gung ho on the millimeter wave. Thousands of megahertz on the millimeter wave.
And then let me ask you another question. You know how we were talking about repackaging different spectrums? What are your thoughts on these churches, man? Do you feel like they should just get their spectrum licenses revoked and used for wireless?
Sell. Make them sell it.
Sell it.
Compensate them. Give them the money for it. Let it go commercial. They ain't broadcasting nothing, bro. What are they broadcasting? Sunday services?
And then what about the cable operators, man? Do you think they should be allowed to keep their CBRS licenses?
Yeah, they use them.
I say with the CBRS and cable operators is, if they deploy it to their network, their mobile NVNO, that works. But if they do not deploy for that purpose, refund them and put it back up to auction.
Ricky's chiming in with the band numbers. He doesn't like the letters, man. PCS, AWS, CBRS. He don't like that stuff. Hey guys, we're gonna move on to the Pixel news. You guys ready?
I'm pissed off about this one, man. I'm about to go off on it.
Yeah, we are about to go off. Moose.
Yeah,
let me intro the topic and then you can go in. Okay. Google has reported. This is confirmed from Google, Mother Google. Pixel 5a, Pixel 5, Pixel 4a 5G not getting C-band support in the U.S. This is confirmed. Here is the exact quote from the story. At this time, we do not have any plans to support C-band operation in the U.S. on Pixel 4a 5G, Pixel 5, or Pixel 5a 5G. These models will continue to have access to the sub-6 and mmWave services provided based on your carrier, plan, and location. Wow.
Unbelievable news.
Well, didn't AT&T say you needed a 2022 phone for C-band anyway?
For the 3.45.
Yeah.
For the Andromeda. Let's call it the Andromeda.
No, we're never going to call it that. We're never going to call it that. Don't you dare, Dennis.
About this, guys. This is why I'm upset about this.
Moose.
It only seems to me, now that I'm involved with, testing Androids and all this stuff, that any Google Android manufacturer, Samsung, Google, Direct, right? For some reason, they have an issue upgrading their existing hardware, not only from a software point of view, like we've seen with Pixel having a delayed March release, having a delayed February release, having a delayed January release. Damn, even the December release was delayed 2 months. So we have issues on hardware, software. We have now issues updating existing hardware. That the modem is capable of N77, but the damn people don't want to update it. That's what pisses me off.
Here's what it is, Moose. I think I have the answer. They're all in on this Tensor thing. They want to walk away from Qualcomm completely. They don't want to deal with them anymore. Remember, that's a Snapdragon 765 on that Pixel 5. And they don't want to support it. I mean, they will because they have to. But they want to get people on these newer Pixels, these 6s, these 6 Pros, the 7 when it comes out. They want to look at Qualcomm as a thing of the past. Their focus wants to be whatever the future is.
You know why I say this is bad?
This is one of those things, Moose.
Well, I say this very, very strongly to Google. If you want to increase market share, you have to continue supporting the old generation models. And I'll tell you why. Because you already have a low fan base as it is. What is it going to convince your new subscribers, new customers, I should say, right, to getting a Pixel if you've basically said, I am going to discontinue update to that phone because N77 is a major update, okay? It's a major feature of 5G. So there's literally no reason for me to keep a Pixel 5, 5A.
Hold on.
Might as well upgrade to something else at this point.
Moose, we got to call a spade a spade. This does not impact T-Mobile customers.
Or Colorado customers.
Well, that's not true. Colorado's getting N77, Pete.
Wait. Sneed, I am going to
certain markets.
I'm going to say that it does impact T-Mobile customers because, as you know, T-Mobile does have licenses in 777. So that is incorrect what you said.
You're right. They do have some. That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but here's the other thing too. If a customer gets an unlocked Pixel 5, Pixel 5a, they will not be able to utilize it on Verizon or AT&T on N77, even though the phone is capable of doing the thing. That's what pisses me off the most, man.
Yeah, it's that. Look, man, if I'm a customer that upgrades annually, you're like, nah. But if I'm owning a phone for 3 years, this is a fail.
Can I also throw in a little curveball here? Because I think it's important to mention.
Go ahead, Dennis. Go ahead.
I'm gonna be honest. For the vast majority of people that buy Pixels, I don't actually think this matters to them. I don't think they know or care that specific band frequency thing isn't getting like an upgrade. And that's just the truth, because most people don't look at band support. That being said, hold on. That being said, this is terrible. And I am absolutely dumbfounded by the fact that the carriers aren't putting more pressure on Google, specifically Verizon, especially since Verizon was always the Pixel selling carrier.
Also, that's their band now.
Yeah. So I'm surprised the carriers aren't having a fit to get Google to support that. So
you're absolutely right. Why isn't anybody bringing this up? Like, this is a big deal. You know, like the carriers need to be talking to Google and be like, hey, why is it that you're not doing it? What is the actual issue? Especially Verizon.
So I will correct you, Moose, with Sneed's comment about T-Mobile. In most places with the C-band, they already have the N41 out, and those phones support it. So it's like, unless you're like us, who goes, woo, we get good capacity and whatnot.
Yeah.
Those T-Mobile users will not notice this issue when C-band is deployed on T-Mobile. Real quick, shout out to MS with a $2.71 super chat. Thank you so much for your generosity, sir. Says some churches actually use their spectrum. T4 church schools. What is T4? I'm assuming these are like Catholic universities who broadcast certain things.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, some local churches in some places do like a Sunday service and they broadcast it on local TV.
And, I think you'd need a special box for a frequency that high for TV.
I mean, fun fact, C-band is still actually used for satellite transmissions, believe it or not.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's in the band above 4.0.
Except near Table Mountain in Colorado.
But
it's bad. This is a bad look. Dennis is right.
Yeah.
This is awful. Moose, you're right.
It's not good.
I have no confidence in a manufacturer that does things like this. I mean, because here's what ends up happening.
Right.
A customer is thinking to themselves, like Moose is saying, how are you going to sell me a phone? Regardless of the price, it does not matter. How are you going to sell me a phone that is not safe to own beyond a year?
Hey,
literally, if a new frequency becomes available, my phone is outdated in a year.
Hey, Sneed, EM Tech chimes in regarding this Pixel issue with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much for your generosity, EM Tech. He says, forget the Pixels, the Fold Z2 or Z Fold 2, Z Flip 2, and the N20U aren't getting C-band either. And this is despite the fact their modems support it.
Absolutely.
They sold for over $1,000 and launched 6 months before the S21.
Wait, hold up. The Note 20? Does the Note 20 support C-band?
No.
That's what the Note 20 is.
So the Z Fold 2, which I have, the modem would support it, but they're never getting that update.
No, but I'm saying, does the modem on the Note 20 support C-band is what I'm asking.
It probably can, but here's the question. Pete, how hard, how difficult, how painful is the certification process? They make it sound like you got to move heaven and earth to get this stuff certified.
You do. Like, seriously, you have to prove to the FCC. Santiago will get to your super chat. You have to prove to the FCC that on this model, on this antenna, with the RF shielding you have and all your tuning, that there will be no bleed to the wrong band, or you cannot get it until you readjust the hardware or software or antenna software in the phone, maybe lower what it can take, or
Pete,
you got to make fine adjustments. It's a pain in the ass.
Pete, we're going on the third year where devices have had band 78 and 79 support.
Yeah,
we're going on year number 3.
Yeah.
You got to call a spade a spade. The gear is there. The modem is there.
You just have to go through, do an update, do a test, submit it to the FCC, have them verify it. Can take 4 to 6 months.
Joseph is from across the pond. He chimed in. N78 in the UK.
Yeah.
Well, I just got one thing I want to say. I'm really happy that I made the iPhone my daily driver.
All right, jump in on this, Pete Santiago.
So, Santiago Hernandez with another super chat. Thank you so much for your generosity, Santiago. I feel like this is a common thing with iPhones as well. Cellular tech has been one of the reasons I've upgraded yearly. I believe
iPhones just straight up don't have the physical hardware most of the time. It's not like Apple's like, nah, we're not going to do a software update. Like, they literally just don't have the hardware support at times. Like,
Speed, we're going whiteboard for this one.
Before we do that, Pete, can we take a look at this angle real quick? I want to give Moose the time to shine because Moose has said this time and time again. Moose, you have always said the best way to buy a phone is from Apple. And what is their program?
The program is the iPhone upgrade program directly from Apple. You get, it's a 24-month program. You can upgrade literally every year, 12 months. You also get Apple Care, so you're completely covered. But I just want to say one thing, because I know, Pete, you're going to mention this.
Pixel offers the same thing.
Yeah, Pixel offers the same thing. Samsung, I believe, also has the same program directly from Samsung.com. But what unfortunately, which I'm agreeing again, this is mind-blowing. I'm agreeing again with Dennis. Samsung and Google Pixel line, they clearly don't care about their previous phones because they are not selling them as much. That's, to me, the bottom line, is that if a company is selling the phones, enough of those old model phones, that they have to not only continue updating the software and security software, right, which they do on the software end, but they also have to update the cellular hardware capabilities, like fine-tuning the modem, fine-tuning the radio, and then adding additional spectrum bands. I think at the end of the day, they don't make enough money to justify spending on updating. That's my bottom line here. It's like, this is not good precedent, man.
I think the more important thing is this is the more important factor here, okay? The fact of the matter is that Google, for all intents and purposes, doesn't exist in the smartphone world. And then Samsung, their problem is they got a bazillion different SKUs, and the bulk of Samsung customers are not in the US, they're international. That's where the bulk of their market share is. So the reason why you see international companies getting updates more frequently is because that's where the bulk of their customers are. And also worth pointing out too is that the international regulations are a little bit easier to deal with than some of the hoops they have to jump through here in the States. Like the fact that to this day, every time an update wants to get pushed out by Samsung, if it's a carrier phone, it has to go through the carrier's like bullshit reviews. It really slows down and messes with the process.
It does. Like, for example, the S22 Ultra just got an update from Verizon on last Friday, 3/18. T-Mobile's was earlier the week. Where the hell's AT&T's? Where the hell's Dish? Because I'm pretty sure Dish is going to be, doing theirs. There's not going to be an unlocked model, Oh no! By the way, here's another thing that really pissed me off. The unlocked version of the S22 is having issues with band 14. This is confirmed on Reddit, by the way, confirmed on Reddit. And where the hell is Samsung to fix it? Where are your, you know what I mean? Like, this is not a simple situation. We have first responders that want the phone every year. They're getting it through the Samsung program. This is unacceptable, dude.
Yeah, true.
And then people are going to be like, oh, no, this is an AT&T issue. If it was an AT&T issue, AT&T could simply fix it with a software firmware modem update because it's through their own network. But it's not. It's a damn software issue from Samsung. So anyways, I digress.
Real quick, shout out to MS for another super chat. Thank you for your generosity. Says full-time K through 12 religious schools Sunday services go over 2.5 gigahertz in some markets. Did not know that. Thank you so much for that insight, MS.
Thanks, MS. Thanks for everything, man.
So this is a quick dumbed down markup for a modem in a phone. Older phones, this bottom line was -5 volts, and it could be ground. Then you had the power up top. You have an amp to increase the gain and an antenna over here. In 3G phones, this was a crystal set to a certain frequency, or was it 2G? But right here you have the frequency regulator. Now, mind you, in newer phones, you see multiple of these within a modem. So you have a frequency controller right here. Older phones, it was a crystal. Right now, it's a microcontroller, and using software-defined networking, you can tune what frequency within a certain range this will grab to. So this is where it helps to have consistent licensing for phones and battery life, because it will take more draw from the power. If it to get onto your carrier, it has to incrementally increase the band, the frequency, so you can communicate with the tower.
You know what, Pete? You know what this makes me think at this point, after looking at this and listening to your explanation? They should have certified every flagship since 2020 with N77.
They could have.
They should have. It should have been a must, because the carriers knew that the auctioning was going to happen, and they knew there were 2 auctions for it.
And they should have gone to the vendors and said, damn it, give this to us.
Yes.
At least the modem vendors.
Exactly. All right,
so,
Pete, we got 2 super chats.
Yep. Shout out to Santiago Hernandez with yet another super chat. You, sir, are quite a generous man. He says, as far as I'm aware, Apple does update the modem firmware on their older phones as they update that, even years after release. You can update the modem firmware, Santiago, but if this is never designed to go up to a frequency using software-defined networking, it can never reach it, because it needs to have the attenuation in the chip.
So it needs 2 things. It needs physical hardware. It also needs firmware.
Yep. I mean, if the attenuator can go to the frequency, but it's just not there, you need a firmware update.
Right.
If you do the firmware update and the attenuator cannot hit the frequency, you need a hardware update.
Which they're not updating hardware. You're going to buy a new phone.
Yeah, no way in hell are you updating this. It's a little dot on a chip.
We got one more, Pete.
Mark Hoyle. Hoyle? I think that's Hoyle. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mark. He's wondering if there are any thoughts among us on the upcoming Moto Edge Plus.
That should be a great Android option if you don't want a Pixel.
So Moto Edge should be a damn good phone.
I disagree with both of you. I do not recommend Motorola phones.
From the update concerns?
I mean, software support's one thing, but just Motorola doesn't make like. When I think of Motorola, I think budget. Like that's what I think. Budget phone. I don't think quality hardware. I don't think quality software support. I think budget phone. Honestly, if you're looking for a good, honestly, there's really only one manufacturer you buy in this country if you're looking for Android. And this is my opinion, and I'm fine to get nailed to the cross for it. But Samsung's the only real Android maker that's worth any salt in this country, and that's really about it, in my opinion.
I did like my Motorola Edge though when I had it. It was a great phone. So, I mean, if you're getting turned off by what Google is doing, if you don't like the OnePlus devices, Motorola is probably the closest thing to that.
But have we? I just want to clarify. Have we put a bow on this? Because I have something I just want to bring up that's short. I don't know if you caught it.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so Sneed, did you see that Starlink is increasing the cost of their service and the upfront satellite cost?
It is facts. The Starlink service has increased by $11. It is now $110 as a baseline price.
Is this subsidizing Ukraine, or is it just a jack?
It's inflation. Literally, the reason says inflation.
Yeah,
I'm not even exaggerating.
But here's the effed up part about it, Sneed. Did you hear about what happens to the people that put a deposit down that were waiting and never got it? They have to drop another $50 down on top of whatever they put for the deposit.
So you know what this is telling me, right?
Let me ask you guys, because this is big. I'm glad Tennessee brought this up.
You know what this tells me?
What's that?
You're gonna say it.
There's no
money.
Gonna
wait. You're gonna say it. What is it?
They're broke. There's no money.
No. Even better. What else are you gonna say? Hold up.
Moose, what do you mean? That's the only answer.
Do the U.S. carriers increase their fees this year because of the inflation? Is the question. If Starlink, who is significantly smaller, right, is needing more money, you don't think that the other ISPs are going to start trickling a little bit more minutes?
Not necessarily.
Come on, man.
Not necessarily. I'm going to tell you why. The ARPU has never been healthier.
Forget about the ARPU, Sneed. Come on, man.
Forget about the ARPU.
So, it's almost 8%, 8.5% inflation, dog.
Wait, but Moose, whoa!
The ARPU at AT&T is freaking $52.
Hold up, we're missing something else here, Moose. You're acting like the profit margins for terrestrial aren't like 90% versus freaking Starlink, who's spending like $1 bazillion just to launch some satellites up there. Like there are two different types of costs.
Hold up. Mobile carriers may not go up, but your wireline ISPs like Comcast, Cox, and
that's not what we've been seeing. That's
Blue Devil. They might go up just because cost of deployment might be going up.
Hold up, but that's not what we've been seeing, Pete. Costs have been coming down across the board for wireline internet.
So you're saying though, so what I'm hearing is if the cost does go up, right, for the plans and other things, you'd be shocked? That's what you're saying?
I would be. The only reason they would go up is to take advantage of the situation to make more profits. I'm saying it wouldn't be justifiable.
Yep. So you would be shocked?
I'd be annoyed.
I'd be annoyed, but not shocked because I know how corporations are. That being said, whoever raises their prices is going to be an idiot because
I'm churning. My bill goes up. I'm churning.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Okay, I'm telling you right now, guys, this is actually
I'm something a free agent. If my bill goes up, I'm a free agent. I'm going to shop.
Dude, I'm telling you right now. Dude, I'm telling you, don't be shocked. I've never been wrong when I bring up this stuff. Do not be shocked.
Seriously, Moose, we're at a precipice right now where Comcast is offering the lowest rates I've ever seen from an ISP period for promos for home internet and wireless. And you're going to tell me when AT&T wants to raise their bill right now? Dude, I guarantee people leave. I don't know
if AT&T is going to raise their rates on fiber, but what I'm saying is that I already spoke to my T-Mobile guy, and they are already looking at increasing the price on legacy plans for the first time in history.
They
The
can
ones that are
suck my
grandfathered.
left. They can suck my left nut if they touch my Magenta Max plan.
I'm telling you,
I-
dude. I'm
I
telling you.
swear-
Can't touch your Magenta Max.
There
plan.
goes the neighborhood. Dennis is
Wait.
going.
Wait, Pete. Why can't they touch my Magenta Max plan?
They have 3 years before they can increase the rates as per the merger, or they're getting a severe financial penalty.
Well, I'm gonna say this right fucking now.
It would cost them more to raise the rates than to keep them the same at the moment.
I'm gonna say this right now. If T-Mobile tries to hike up my bill, you best believe that phone I've been waiting to come in, that fucking S22 Ultra that's been delayed
Dennis,
for forever.
calm down, dude. You're dropping F-bombs left and right.
The
Chill out.
most T-Mobile can do to raise the profit margin on Magenta Max is come up with Magenta Max Plus.
But
Well,
guys, that's the legacy plan.
Hold on.
I
I
didn't
promise
think
you
that could come
though, I will literally cancel all of my lines with T-Mobile. That would be
We're not talking about Magenta Max. We're talking about those fools that are paying $110 for 10 lines. I'm talking about those people that are literally costing more money than they're worth. That's
They're
why
not
I'm telling you.
costing more money than they're worth, though. T-Mobile will go from making some money to zero money off those people because I guarantee you they'll switch.
Okay, let them
They'll
switch.
switch.
Good. They're like the Sprint Jumpstart guys who had to be on the network for free for 6 months.
Pete, you remember the Jumpstart lines for $5?
That wasn't even worth it in my market. I would have been on T-Mobile anyway.
Oh, man. This is so funny, man. I'm telling you, people are going to, on average, be paying more money because of the inflation on the legacy plans. The ones that are touchable.
I bet you when that happens, prepaid and MVNOs see one of the largest growth quarters that they've seen in like a decade. If that
They know that. They know
If
that.
the price goes up to be competitive with Magenta Max, and they don't really feel like switching, they're just going to go to Magenta Max.
Bro, I'm telling you right now.
Hold up.
If pricing goes up, Charlie Ergen is going to be salivating, and so is Peter Adderton. That's all I'll say to that.
So TJ LeBlanc says, go back to Morse code. TJ, do you have any idea how much AT&T charges for a telegraph line? It's like $200 a month, dog.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, Lavendi.
RFK, you cool, bro?
Dude, I'm telling you, Dennis, don't be surprised, bro. I'm telling you.
I know, but Dennis is right. A lot of people would churn, bro. They're not in a position to be able to tolerate a price increase considering everything else going on in the world right now. Think about your fuel price. Think about your energy costs. Think about your rent. Think about, food costs. Everything is up. If your wireless goes up, that further complicates things, and these carriers are already very profitable. For them to increase pricing would almost be unjustified.
Hell, it would be at the moment. It would be better for the carriers to cut $5 off the bill arbitrarily, so they get in the customer mindset. Hey, they're looking out for us.
All right, so Ram is talking about Peter Adderton. All right, so let me try to characterize Peter Adderton. I don't want to speak for the man, but here's how I see him. He is 100% a consumer advocate. He is a man who understands that customers don't want to get screwed on wireless. They want a good deal, they want what's fair, and they want to get what they pay for. He pushes that. That is his narrative. That is his MO. The problem is he attacks the big carriers in the process, right? You're paying for stuff you don't need. What he doesn't understand is that there are customers who do pay high prices for their postpaid service, but they also enjoy all the value that comes with it. The tethering and mobile hotspot, the 1080p video, 4K streaming, the streaming services, the bundles. We seem to appreciate that, right? People here in the community seem to appreciate it.
Hey, I really appreciate the price I'm paying for my postpaid, and I know the Sneed Man is enjoying it for his content too.
Absolutely. It's great, bro. I mean, so that's where I'm at. But the thing about Peter Adderton is he's going to sell his brand, his service as no frills. You're getting what you're paying for, no more, no less. and that's fair. So his thing is fair. That's his shtick.
What
You're
is-
going to get what you're paying for.
I wonder how much Verizon's going to charge him per gig on their network.
Bro, he says that they gave him the best deal he could find in the open market.
It's probably going to be like $5 a gig. That's my guess. But hold up. I got to touch on Moose's thing real quick. Moose, I'm going to say something, and this is a fact. Yeah. The carriers can raise their prices today to make a little bit more profit, but I promise you that person that they raised the rates on during this time, and the same way people freaked out during the pandemic when they were getting turned off, the people that they raised their rates on right now when things are the way they are is going to remember that forever, leave, and never go back to them. They might get an extra $5 the next month's bill, but they will lose out on thousands of dollars for the next 5 years because it's going to take years for them to earn that back. It doesn't even matter if the competitors do the same thing. It's the fact that your guy that you were loyal to screwed you over. It leaves a different taste.
That's why I said at the moment it would be more profitable for them to lower their rate like $3 even than to jack up a price, because money's getting tighter at the moment, and if you have one company that just says, hey, here's $3 off your bill just for paying for living in this economy, 5 years later, if the price goes up a little, they're like, well, I'm making more money now, the economy's stabilized, inflation stabilized, and they tossed me a bone when prices were going up. I'm staying. You know,
this is the first indication of many things to come, gentlemen. I'm telling you this right now. Wow. My worst fears. Listen, Sneed has been. You know how John Prosser has like this thing called Apple Track, where he has like a certain rating of everything that has come to pass that is true, right? Sneed has been tracking my Moose tracker, you know, my percentage of accurate predictions.
I see what we did there. We call it Moose Track.
The Moose Tracker, exactly. Moose Track. The Moose Track. So Sneed's percentage on the Moose Track has not gone down to 99%, gentlemen. Do you understand what that means? I have been 100% correct on every single thing that has happened.
Stuff like this, Moose, your percentage is very, very high.
Yeah.
Hey, Moose, I'm just saying, even if you're... First off, I'm going to just say this. I do disagree with you. I know you've been right, but like before in the past, but I actually disagree with you on this point. I don't see the cost going up. I just don't. Like, okay, I'm going to put it this way. If the carriers want to try to eke out some more cost, I can see them removing features or making a more premium plan or something like that. But there's no way they raise the barrier to entry on the postpaid side, because as someone else pointed out in the comments, Americans' wireless pricing is so exorbitantly high. The only country that makes us look decent is Canada. Everywhere else, though, American cellular wireless prices are exorbitant. And competition right now is healthier than it's ever been before in the U.S. So that person that does make that move, if they do something like that, is literally shooting themselves in the foot. There's two other perfectly good postpaid options and plenty of MVNO options. And MVNO carriers aren't like they were back in 2000. They're actually really good. Like, you want a good T-Mobile experience, you don't want to pay T-Mobile prices, get MidMobile. You know, you want Verizon and you want it to be pretty good, go US Mobile. I mean, literally, the whole thing about deprioritization matters less and less and less as capacity increases with 5G ultra-wideband, which, as we've seen, Verizon's been deploying very aggressively. So that's my whole shtick, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. No, I understand. Look, I'm not saying that I'm for this at all. Please, I'm probably one of the biggest consumer advocates that you know, because I'm literally telling people, you know, go to hell. You guys are, you know, in their face. Right, not over a stream or over text or over Reddit. I'm literally in their face. But the issues that I'm seeing now, macroeconomically, if Starlink is the first to increase, and they're the tiniest that I know of, right? Like maybe 150K people, right? Dude, this is not good. It's
but Starlink.
Yeah.
Elon might want to launch another Tesla bus into space.
Yeah, but Moose, here's the thing you're missing. The cost of operation for Starlink is much higher than the cost of operation for an AT&T.
Do you not think that the same way that the processors and chips and raw materials has gone up, it has also hit the bottom line of the carriers to pay more?
You're missing my point. Like AT&T and the wireless providers already have the bulk of their infrastructure. Like the core infrastructure that's important is already deployed. Starlink is currently in the process of making infrastructure happen. And like, we're talking about 10 billion being dropped for C-band. Dude, Starlink is dropping like hundreds of billions to get Starlink up and running. I mean, it's pretty insane how much money is getting put into it. So we're talking about orders of magnitudes difference as far as cost, right? And that's what I'm going for here. So,
but I asked about this new equipment that's going up, and it has to upgrade every single site. Do you not realize that the price of fiber year over year has gone up dramatically? And
price
it's the same.
Fiber, hold on. Price of fiber has gone down. What are you talking about?
Oh, not the price of fiber to the customer. I'm talking about the cost of the actual strand of glass has gone up.
I know. I'm saying that's gone down.
Infused glass. Let's be specific here.
And I'm saying that's gone down compared to where it was at when it first was like back in like the 90s. It's gone down in cost.
Of course, you're talking about a 30-year difference, man. I'm talking about from year over year, not 30-year difference. Of course, that was a brand new technology. I'm talking about literally the cost of sand, the cost of the glass to make has gone up year over year because of the almost 8% inflation. That's fact.
Dude, inflation. I'm gonna say something real quick. A lot of the stuff that we're seeing that's happening in the private market, okay, and I'm calling a spade a spade. It's not because of the inflation. The gas prices went up before even any inflation or any shortages even hit. A lot of things went up in price before inflation could even take effect.
All right, so let's make sure we corral this correctly. Supply chain constraints are a thing. Cost of production has increased. Wages have increased. Labor has been up and down. The job market, the business operations. Now the inflation has hit the ground running. It's everything. It's not one thing. It's everything. And that's why we're really starting to feel it. Last year, we knew this was coming. But last year, it was only supply. It was delayed supply with high demand. People coming out of a pandemic, gung-ho with money, just flying out of their pockets like, take my money. I want to buy stuff. I want to do stuff. And now it's those same things and still supply constraints, still material pricing increasing, and now compounded with the inflation. Transport, like Dennis was saying, fuel, and it's all part of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
100% agree with what Sneed's saying. Everything is now, there's a term that I'm blanking on right now, but everything is converging right now.
Yeah.
This month it converged.
Yeah.
And it's not good. It's the worst thing I've ever seen.
It's going to hurt, Moose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to hurt. And there's no one policy. There's no one industry. It's going to be felt across the board.
Contractors charging more money for the same basic upgrade for both fiber and for macro sites, CRAN. Why? Because the cost of the fuel went up. They had to pay more money because the wages need to go up. Everything's now up. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah. So let's get to this last item, and then we can close out the show in about 10 minutes here. All right, guys. This is real. The homie Carlos S. Tech confirmed. Project Genesis, Dish Wireless, Fire Mobile. It is live. He has the device. He has the service. He's using it. He called me from the line today. We held a call for 30 minutes. First, we spoke on Verizon to Verizon HD call. He then literally called me on my same line with the Dish Wireless, and it sounded exactly the same as Verizon's HD codec. So their voice over NR is good. The text came through fine. He got my reply quickly.
RCS support?
What is it?
Is RCS like working?
Yeah, it's on a Samsung Galaxy S22.
That doesn't answer the question, Sneed.
What do you mean? It's enabled on that device.
With RCS, the carrier has to also set it up. Remember when T-Mobile started doing?
It's default on the carrier. If they want to turn it off, they would have to do that. It's default now.
I
All
don't
the
know
carriers have adopted it.
Not AT&T.
Yeah.
That means AT&T is turning it off.
AT&T is doing their own like proprietary like thing, and as far as interoperability goes, it gets pretty funky with the carrier. So I'll repeat my question: was RCS working with Dish when he was messaging on your Verizon line?
Hold up, Lois. If you're in chat, shoot me a text message from your Dish phone.
I'm texting him right now on that line.
Well, I also want the number, so Lois, text me. Damn it!
How you know, Sneed, if it shows that the text message was read or if it was just sent?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the process.
Yeah. But in terms of the software level from Android, both Dennis and Pete are correct. It is turned on from the software level, but it might not be turned on from the network level.
Hopefully we can disclose this, but yeah, fire confirmed.
Fire confirmed?
Fire confirmed.
What's that mean?
Fire Mobile. It is showing Amazon speed testing. It like if you run a speed test from the tethering hotspot, it shows Amazon.
Oh.
Yeah, which is weird. But not because it's Amazon.
It's weird because it's something I said.
Hey, so there's really something interesting happening right now. There are like a lot of people are happy to see a fourth competitor and to see a fourth option and something to kind of replace a failing Sprint or whatever. But there are people who are still like not happy about this. Like it's really weird. I'm seeing a lot of people still like showing negative sentiment towards Dish. Like I don't know what else they can do other than just continue to launch markets. Like what else could Dish do to get people to finally understand that they're actually doing this?
It won't be real to people, Sneed, until it's actually in their market. It doesn't become real until you talk to someone and you're like, yes.
But Dennis, people said they would never launch a market, and here they are.
I'm saying that's what's going to take that's what Dish is going to have happen in order to change people's minds about Dish is what I'm trying to explain.
But people said it would not launch, and here it is. It wasn't they'll never launch in my market. It was they'll never launch. These people have to start eating crow. I'm sorry. They have to.
Sneed. Give me a crow.
Let me ask you a question, Sneed.
You get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I'm perfectly willing to eat crow. Mind you, I was not serious. Of course they're going to launch because it's more expensive to not launch at the moment.
Let me ask you a question, Sneed.
Yeah.
Where has Dish publicly announced their plans?
You mean like a consumer plan?
Yeah, like where are their plans and their pricing?
They haven't launched plans and pricing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like they did a thing. They did it.
You're right. They're not officially launched. But people said they wouldn't build a tower. We've got hundreds of towers in Cleveland and the surrounding counties done. They said they wouldn't build towers. They did. They said they wouldn't buy spectrum, and they did. They literally bought C-band. They bought CBRS. They even bought millimeter wave licenses. Like they did everything that people asked them to. I'll believe it when I see it is what they said. For every single thing. They literally answered every question up till now. The only thing they haven't done is an official commercial launch that involves a website, a plan, like Dennis is saying. That's it. There's nothing else to do. They have SIM cards, they have phones, they have spectrum, They have towers. They have roaming agreements. They have an EVP. They have a CEO. They have everything.
Hey, Sneed. Not gonna lie, I'm believing it.
Why? What'd you get? What'd you get that made you change your tune so quick?
Los getting a line.
So here's my thing. All right. What Dish did in Vegas is good. I'm not going to poo poo that. It's good. They got a market live. That's great. But right now, for all intents and purposes, Dish is still a glorified MVNO. That's what Dish is right now. They are not an MNO. They have maybe what? I'm going to be generous. What, 20 markets max that they have equipment that's going up in? Does that sound pretty fair, Sneed?
I mean, they're going to have 25 markets in June.
All right, so 25. Okay, I was under by 5. So they got 25 markets. They're putting their stuff up. We still don't know what pricing looks like. We don't know what the plans look like. We still don't know what performance is actually going to look like. We only know what we've heard. And what we did here wasn't positive performance metrics based off of what was the Verizon Wireless when they did their drive test down in Vegas. Like 6 months ago? So like, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here and help see like how other people see it. There's nothing really here to like write home about is what I'm going for. And I can understand people's sentiment. I can understand the sentiment of wanting to actually see it for myself to believe it.
You know what, man? I remember there was, I don't know if you guys remember this do you guys remember Tupac? Are you guys old enough to remember Tupac?
I know who he is, but I didn't personally listen to him.
All right, so.
Hey, Dennis, you should go out and get his new album.
He's dead, isn't he?
Yeah. Please stop it. Cut it out. All right, so there's a saying. Well, it's kind of like a joke, actually. There's a rose sitting there growing out of the concrete, right? It's a rose, literally. The petals are damaged, the leaves are fading, the branches are broken, it's splintered. It's a dark color red. It's in horrible shape, right? It looks terrible. These two people walk up to the rose, and the one person goes, "Look at this rose. It's looks horrible. It looks like, look at it. The petals are damaged, the branches are broken, the stems are fading. Look at this thing." And the guy looks at him, and the guy next to him, he goes, "You're focusing on that, but you're missing the part that a rose is growing from the cement. You're missing the point. This company came from nothing. It came from zero. No help. In fact, T-Mobile was trying to bury it. And then people were shitting on this company, saying they would never launch and they would never build a tower and they'd never have a network and they'd never do this and they'd never and they'd never and they'd never, and they did. So everybody can say whatever they want, but the fact is people told Dish, "Show me this. I'll believe it when I see it," and they did. And then they say, "Okay, well, show me this," and then they did. "Okay, well, show me this," and then they did. Come on, man. Give them some credit.
So, Sneed, I can give them credit. They deployed a market. That's their credit. But can I also just say, for the fact this is also calling a spade here, but what goodwill has Dish actually earned as a company? Like, just for a moment. Think about how you reacted whenever I talked to you about DOCSIS 4.0, okay? Now take that same energy and put it towards Dish. Because Dish, for the most part as a company, does not necessarily have the best mind share amongst consumers. Right? So what goodwill have they earned?
Their biggest issue is they don't have mind share in wireless. They're starting from what do they have? Ting? They have...
I'm not talking about wireless. I'm talking about the company brand. Like the company.
Yeah, I think he's talking about the satellite provider.
Yes, I'm talking about Dish, the company as a whole, not Dish Wireless, Dish, the company as a whole. They did not earn goodwill with people in general. They have a bad mindshare. If you look at their track record for things, like Charlie sat on Spectrum for, I don't even know how many years at this point, right? Charlie was also the same type of person that would black out people's channels, do the explosive price that you talked about with cable and all the other things that you don't like about cable. Dish did the same things to consumers. So like I'm saying, what goodwill has Dish earned?
It's not that they've earned goodwill, is that you have to be objective. Like, they did what people said they needed to do in order for them to believe. So at some point, you're going to keep moving the goalpost. Show me 5. I show you 6. No, show me 9. I show you 10. No, show me 15. Come on. You got to be freaking kidding me.
All I'm trying to get across here is that we can both agree. So just to be clear, so we're on the same page, because I can hear you getting a little frustrated in your voice. I am happy to see Dish is deployed in Vegas, that there is a network up in Vegas. I want competition to exist because we need competition to exist in order to keep the other carriers in check. That also being said, Dish took like the first real steps in the right direction. They still got a whole flight of stairs to climb up to before they even get to the first floor of the building, and T-Mobile and AT&T are already at the freaking roof, if you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So, like, while it's okay to applaud them, it's not like applauding them for going in the right direction is great, but they still haven't really actually accomplished anything. It's still in a beta. It's still hush-hush about pricing. We don't know anything. I mean, even the performance we don't know about. I haven't seen.
This is going to sound crazy, but I'm agreeing with Dennis for a third time tonight.
While you agree with Dennis, shout out to Shaheen Fry with his $20 super chat. Thank you for your generosity.
Yeah.
He says he'll believe it when he sees it, and same for everything.
I will say this. I do agree with Sneed that, thankfully we're going to get something, right? We're going to get a competitor. We're going to be able to have this competition instead of being 3-horse race. It's now 4, right? Potentially in certain markets. But I honestly don't see them doing anything, man, to be completely honest with you.
Moose, can you send the link to Carlos on his iPhone, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
I mean, you said it yourself, Sneed. You saw Dish Max getting like 30 million subscribers in the country, if I recall.
I'd say 30 million is the best case scenario. Like, that's the ceiling.
Yeah, so for me, 30 million, that's a little bit better than like a US Cellular. Like, that's regional. If you only
it's not about just that. I mean, clearly they're motivated by enterprise and business. Like, they're thinking enterprise, they're thinking 5G use case. Like, they have the true 5G standalone greenfield network. So they're coming in, they get to kind of be the ones that write the playbook. Like they're like in the game of football, let's say the NFL football, right? The way it is today, that's not the way it was played in 1950. So like standalone 5G, like the book is getting written now, and Dish is going to have a say in it. As much as people don't want to admit it. Like, Dennis, Pete, Moose, I respect you guys. But if you can't acknowledge that the only true standalone 5G network in the country right now is going to be Dish, and it's going to be like that for the rest of the year. Like, T-Mobile does not have a standalone network.
I never tried arguing that, but
I know it's not an argument. I'm just saying that they get to write the book. They're the first ones to it. I'm not saying they're going to be great. I'm saying that they are going to have a hand in this. And
yes,
their failures and their successes will set the trends.
By the way, shout out to Darian Smith with his $2 super chat. Thank you for your generosity, Darren. He says, I don't see people from the top 3 switching to Dish. Some might if they offer, good features and a good plan at a reasonable rate.
They're going to try to get people from Boost. They're going to try to get people from Ting. They're going to try to acquire smaller companies. That's how they're going to do it.
If Dish does something aggressive, like if they come in with a true, like, let's just say they come with like a Magenta MAX style premium plan at like $65 all in, I could see them pulling some customers if they came in aggressive with the pricing.
I mean, hell, if somebody got burned from all 3, they'll jump over.
I'll just say this: they can't charge T-Mobile or AT&T pricing. I can tell you that right now. They definitely cannot charge that pricing. They'd have to come in and undercut them. Even if it's only $10, they have to undercut them.
Wait, undercut T-Mobile pricing?
Yeah, Dish has to undercut T-Mobile pricing if they want to get growth.
Whoa.
They do. They got to get people to switch. It's true.
Hello, Lowe's, and before.
Gotcha.
Bro, let's shout out Green 9227 real quick with a $5 super chat. He is very disappointed in Google for not enabling N77 on the 4A 5G and the Pixel 5A 5G. I don't think there's a 5A non-5G, by the way. Why not turn on N77 on the software level? Why should they take the bad PR? The attenuation in the modem may not be able to hit that frequency within their software-defined network. But it's worth looking into on their part. Hey, Los, how's
Thanks, Green.
How's Dish treating you?
It's actually good. It's been decent.
What have been your uses, Carlos? What have you been using it? Which apps?
I'm right now using the hotspot to be on the stream. So you tell me.
How's that Amazon connection?
What's up?
What kind of speeds are you seeing?
Bro, this average. It's been averaging around 200 now.
And what about the how's the upload?
Like in the high 20s, low 30s.
And the ping?
The ping is not that great right now. It's in the low 30s because it's being routed through Denver.
Which they kind of have to at the moment.
The data center, the routing will be fixed in a couple of weeks. They told me tops will have native routing.
Now, did they disclose what kind of plan you have? Like, is it true unlimited? Like, what kind of plan?
I know what two of the plans are, bro. I had one of the network engineer, like the head of network engineer that came, and then what else? One of them was the head of marketing, and the other one was can't remember his position. Fuck, I forgot. But dude, literally, there's gonna be two plans, and one of them is gonna be true unlimited, dude. I'm talking about true unlimited shabam. Amazon Music included, Amazon Prime included, 30 countries you can roam with internationally as native coverage. Come on, bro. Unlimited hotspot, dude.
We're getting Amazon photos too.
Bro, I don't know, bro. Come on, I don't know that part, bro. I know that they're gonna do Amazon Prime, they're gonna do Amazon Music, and possibly Netflix.
Gotta say, Fire Mobile, they're getting good with Amazon.
And the other plan that they're going to have, the one that's going to be cheaper than the True Unlimited, it's only going to have 100 gigabytes of hotspot. But the on-device is going to be True Unlimited.
Only 100 gigs. That's great, Carlos.
And it's gonna have only native roaming, like international roaming in Canada and Mexico. Those are the two that I know of so far.
Do you know what pricing is?
They did not disclose that to me. And even if they did, which I can't say they didn't, but they did, I have an MDA. I can't talk about that.
Gotcha.
Makes sense. Shout out to Green9227 again. He's wondering if we have thoughts on the Samsung A53.
It's a good budget phone. Good mid-ranger.
So, well, hold on a second. Let's take a look at Green's super chat here. He said thoughts on the device. All right, so this device is coming in at a price point of about $350. So we're talking about a mid-ranger.
Yep.
If you get it from Verizon, it's $50 more because it probably has millimeter wave.
And the millimeter wave tax.
Yeah, so you're going to have that additional bill of materials there, so it'll be more expensive. You'll probably get it for free with a trade-in. You could probably get it for free with over an installment plan. But in and of itself, like spec-wise, I mean, we're talking about a mid-ranger through and through. So you're getting a mid-range processor. You're going to get a decent camera. I mean, design-wise, it's got that little, like...
I mean,
let me just name that thing?
Let me name some quick... it's a
punch hole
design for the camera. I mean, it looks...
like a mid-range new modern Galaxy.
I mean, let me just give a couple quick specs real fast. I mean, it's got 128 gigs of storage out the rip, so great on the storage. 6 gigs of RAM. Expandable storage is in that bad boy, up to a terabyte. It does have support for 5G, all sub 6 gigahertz for the unlocked version, and then as you mentioned, the Verizon has mmWave. 5,000 milliamp hour battery, quad camera on the back with a main camera, 64 megapixel, 12 megapixel ultra wide. I mean, like I said, it's a good mid-range / budget phone for a very reasonable price. It even has a 120 hertz display, 120 hertz AMOLED display. I mean, it's solid.
Yeah, I mean, the only phones that are going to be in that price point that will perform well are going to be like your mid-range Pixel devices, your A series.
I mean, it's better than that Motorola that you were trying to talk about from earlier, or whoever asked about the Motorola earlier. I'd say this is better than that.
The Moto Edge Plus?
Yeah.
The Moto Edge Plus is a premium mid-range. It's better than this.
Hey, Lois, I'm disappointed it doesn't say Amazon. By the way, we got 2 $5 super chats and one from Darian Smith. He's thank you for your generosity, Darren. Says, does AT&T have mid-band launched by the next iPhone launch? And if no, will it hurt them? Probably. They don't have it, probably hurt them if they
Sneed the Motorola Edge Plus, the one that I'm looking up for 2022, is saying it's going to be coming out at $1,000.
Oh, then that's the premium one. That's the
flagship. Yeah. Bro, that one's going to be good.
Yeah, the last Moto Edge Plus was really, really good too. So that wouldn't surprise me if it was, like your OnePluses of the world. Right?
Well, if we're at $1,000 and just get an S22, get an S22 Plus.
You're not going to get an argument out of me, Dennis.
So we also got a super chat from Shaheem Fried saying Dish will have a chance to succeed if the FCC will treat them like they did to T-Mobile all the time and give them everything on a golden plate.
Let's call it a spade. Dish has not played well. They have been hoarding spectrum for a long time. So they don't deserve anything from the FCC.
Sneed, on the announcement.
Carlos, pull it up a little bit. I want to see there we go.
Thanks.
So I uploaded some documents from friend of the show, Roger Etner, on the Discord in the announcements tab. And in there it shows that Dish has until, I believe it's June 2023 to deploy their AWS holdings before they start getting fined for squatting.
It's they've got a build out date for their different spectrum holdings. So there's a 600 megahertz build out date and requirement, and then there's an AWS build out requirement.
And he is on the Discord, so check the announcements and you'll see these requirements, and they will get hefty fines if they do not build out a certain percentage of their holdings.
I did some videos on this on Patreon 2 years ago, I think, 3 years ago. So like that's fresh in my mind. I remember those.
Hey, Carlo.
They've restructured the fine prices in the past 2 years, and they're higher due to the demand in cellular now compared to even 2 years ago.
Damn.
Hey, Carlos, real quick, man. Is service mode available on that Samsung by chance?
It's 30 megahertz of spectrum. This is 30.
So 10 megahertz N71, 20 megahertz N66 is PA Tech point out?
Yeah.
That's within
to give you guys perspective. To give you guys perspective, Verizon has 35 megahertz on air on some of these sites here, and they can barely crack 250.
There you go, 10 megahertz, and then 66 was 20.
Yeah, that's what I'd expect from that.
So how many people do you think are currently like actually taking advantage of the beta? Just a rough ballpark number.
Guy, I can disclose this part. Guy told me 227 business enterprise, which consists of medium/large, that employ more than 200 employees. The whole Amazon network, the whole Amazon delivery centers, everything is on Dish. And right now they're handing out to people. Finally, they just opened it up to the people for beta. I was the third person they delivered to.
So the network is pretty unsaturated then for the most part.
It's being used mainly by enterprise right now.
Okay. So I'll be curious to see what that looks like when Dish does start selling. Like let's being optimistic. Let's just say Dish gets say 10% market share in Vegas. I'd be curious to see what ends up happening.
And he said that they're going up right now. They're going back up. They're putting the N4877 gear. They're going to start doing that, and they're going to start. What was the other thing? They're going to what was that other shit? They're going to bump up the backhaul too. Once it goes fully live.
What's the backhaul on it right now? Is it gig?
Right now, it's. I think he said it was 5 total, but they're going to bump it up to 10.
500.
5.
But it's gig.
Yeah, it's 5 gig backhaul right now.
That's better than T-Mobile.
But they're going to bump it up to 10 when it's like to the main public.
I don't see them doing that, to be honest, Carlos. I mean, unless they add more spectrum to make it a use case for it. I mean, they're never going to need 10 gig back. They don't even need 5 gig back.
But the thing is the other phone. So they're going to swap me out phones here soon. I think in the next 30 days with this new phone that's supposed to be coming out for Dish for Moto, and it's going to have N70 on it too. So then they have, I think, how much was this need? Like 20 megahertz of or 25 megahertz of N70 here. It was something like that. I can't remember. We went over the numbers, Sneed and I, that day.
So let me ask you a question, Mr. Carlos. With how Dish has been performing, are they good enough that you would actually make them your daily driver?
I am using it as my daily right now. I've been calling. I called Sneed with it. I called Tim with it. Even Tim was impressed that the call quality on Vonar was really good.
It sounded just like the Verizon line. It sounded the same.
But what I'm saying is would you take them over Verizon? Like, would you make them your true primary?
Yeah, right.
I can't. I mean, bro, I use Verizon. I'm not gonna cancel my account and lose my good plan. No, but I'll make them my good second option. Like Sprint used to be my good second option, so they would be my.
Gonna do a live stream?
Oh.
Can you live stream from that device?
Yeah.
I think you should.
I know what Pete wants. I know what Pete wants to see, though.
What does Pete want to see?
He wants to see us. Yes, I know what he wants to see right now. I got you, bro. Hold on, let me turn it on real quick. Got you.
Better not be you in your underwear.
What color is the Dish logo? Is it red and white or what is it?
Yeah, red and white.
Red and white thongs, bro. That's what he wants to see.
Carlos on a red and white thong.
No, you're going to see this.
Oh, that's what you wanted to see.
When you use hotspot, it says Amazon.
Oh yeah.
Hey, does Dish have a custom logo on the left-hand side or the right-hand side where the little icon is? Like, does it say Dish Mobile or whatever, or like what is it?
It says Dish Mobile.
Right here, hold on.
Dish Wireless. Okay.
Now, I'm so surprised it's not brought to you by the Vegas Raiders.
Man, that hotspot performance took a nosedive.
Well, it's Amazon. What do you expect?
It would be better if it was Apple iCloud.
Or Raiders Nation.
Raider Nation.
Oh, side note, since we're talking about Wi-Fi real quick.
Amazon Wi-Fi.
Side note, real quick, Carlos, last night when I was catching your stream, bro, when you were at the public park or wherever you were at, if you wanted to connect to the park's Wi-Fi, there was a thing that said actually like the park's Wi-Fi. That Cox stuff that you were trying to connect to requires like an account with Cox to sign into. That's why you weren't able to connect.
Bro, Cox can eat crow, bro.
I mean, bro, I don't have Cox available to me, so I don't care. But
bro, I have to still go to the side of the house and rip out all that coax and rip it out, and then they can go pick it up. Even though I don't have service with them.
Lois, do you want to wait till I go out there again to do that?
Hey, Los.
Yeah.
Los.
What up?
Do you want to take a? I don't know if you were here earlier in the stream, but do you want to take a guess at where I'm at so far in my data usage journey?
Don't tell me you're at 8 gigs or 8 TB. I mean,
Nah, I'm about half that, about almost 4.
Let's see.
Jesus.
Where am
What
I
are you-
on my data usage?
so what are
this month?
you trying to do? Are you trying to get canceled?
I'm not trying to get canceled. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to see if no data cap is really no data cap with Verizon Fios. I'm trying to see. Go ahead.
I mean, it's supposed to be for like, reasonable, like, average use, not just to blow it up to see what it can do, bro. That's actually a violation of terms of service. You know that, right? That one dude with the T-Mobile home internet, bro. They said unlimited, bro, but they canceled his whole account, even his cell phone. They took it all away. That's all I was telling you that day when you were thinking about getting one and shit and doing it. I was like, no, unless you want to lose your T-Mobile account forever and ever.
All right, gents. Listen, I got to close out the show. I got to end this. But thank you guys for the great convo. Big shout out to Los for coming on at the end, sharing some of that Dish Wireless usage. Thank you for coming on, Los, and sharing that with us. Big shout out to the Bearded Dragon for holding it down with us. You guys can check out his YouTube channel. Mods, if we can get a link to that. The homie Moose was here. I don't know if he's still here, but Moose, thank you. The homie, yeah.
I must say, I have no way of knowing how much data I've used. My router doesn't keep track, nor does my ISP.
I mean, you can just look at your PC to get an idea of what at least using your computer, because I imagine that's probably what you're downloading a good chunk of stuff on.
Let me finish this up here real quick.
Over 7 devices.
All right, Dennis, thank you for coming on, man. As always, we appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by and holding it down on the panel. If I can get a link to bestphoneplans.net website and also the bestphoneplans.net or the Best Phone Plans podcast on YouTube, we can get the channel link there. And let's do the hashtags. Hashtag help the bear. Hashtag save the bear. Hashtag 2LiveCrew. Hashtag replay crew. Hashtag ravioli gang. Hashtag mod squad. We got a new one. Hashtag cha-cha. We're going to hashtag FWA for fixed wireless access because it's going to kick cable's butt.
Hashtag AT&T C-band because there's a new tower site that just has AT&T C-band on it. Oh,
see
crap.
If it's live, Los. Check it out. See if it's live.
It's not already. I already speed tested it. It's not, unfortunately.
Not on. Bummer.
Not on yet. But it's there.
Carlos. Hashtag BBW. Today's wing day, right?
No, that's yesterday.
That was yesterday, bro. But
yesterday.
The buy one, get one wings.
Hashtag Dish Wireless, though.
Hashtag Dish Wireless. That's a good one for today.
Hey,
super chats: Santiago, Chame, Green, MS.
Yep.
Any other ones, Pete?
Should have kept track.
I know, man. Thank you, guys. Thanks to everybody who offered a PayPal or Darian. I remember
Darian Smith with 2 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, Darian. Thank you. Anybody else who had super chats? Thank you, guys. I know that there were some in there, but I feel like there's a setting there where it could keep track, but it just.
I wish YouTube would let you keep track of that on the
Right.
live, so we could say kudos to you. And
yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys for everything. I think we got all the hashtags. Hit the like button. Subscribe for more if you're new. Turn on the bell notifications to never miss an upload. The Patreon page link down below, as well as my email and my Twitter handle if you guys want to get involved with the communities there. And we got amazing, like-minded people all in this hobby together, enjoying it, having fun with it, and appreciating it. But that's it for tonight's show. Thanks again for all involved, and we out this piece.